Good evening, I'm Keisha Butts with the CTV News Update. Our region is bracing for the potential for violence at tomorrow's far-right rally on the grounds of the U.S. Capitol. Former Trump campaign staffer Matt Braynard has organized the Justice for J6 rally. It's in support of the insurrectionists who were arrested on the January 6th for storming the U.S. Capitol. Police have been preparing for the event by reinstalling temporary fencing around the Capitol. The planned rally has many people concerned, including former CTV volunteer Blair Cooper, who was in the Capitol on January 6th. She says she's still grappling with the events of that day.
To this day, it's very sad. I think directly after January 6th, a few weeks after that, I think I went through a slight level of depression because I work with a lot of those officers that were injured. I work with them, and still to this day, they're going through it. Like, it's not easy. So just to think back to the day, I don't know how it happened. I don't know why it happened. I don't know why individuals would think that that is the way to go about handling something that they disagree with. So it is very hard to think about, and it's very hard to take in. I just try to make sure that I'm as supportive as I can be of the officers who are still dealing with all the mental and physical things that happened to them that day.
Hundreds are expected to attend the rally, which is expected to get underway at noon. Meantime, federal lawmakers are bracing themselves for Saturday's rally, but this time they'll be watching it virtually. Senator Chris Van Hollen says he's confident that Capitol Police will be ready if any violence breaks out this time.
January 6th was a very dark day in our history, and I am very alarmed that you have this group coming back Saturday to celebrate January 6th and the violent insurrectionists who stormed the Capitol. I am confident that the Capitol Police are ready. They've also reached out to other law enforcement agencies in the area. They've had to put up the fence on a temporary basis once again. But I do believe that they're ready for whatever arrives tomorrow.
Will Congress be in session on Saturday?
Congress is not in session on Saturday or this weekend.
About 700 people are expected to attend tomorrow's rally, which is set to begin at D.C.'s Union Square. Ahead of the Justice for J6 rally, residents in Annapolis are saying the event is in poor taste. Hundreds of supporters of former President Trump are expected to turn out for the rally. It's to show support for the people who were arrested in connection with the violent insurrection earlier this year.
As a person who identifies as like patriotic American, just the thought that somebody would want to reenact that just seems to me kind of disrespectful and disdainful, especially given the time of year that we're in, when this is a time that we're celebrating, like, veterans and American history.
Don't do the crime if you can't do the time, These people knew that what they were doing was illegal. It was kind of terrorist-like. Kind of crazy coming from American citizens for that to play out how it did.
Meantime, police charge a man for allegedly fatally shooting his fiancée in Upper Marlboro. He is 38-year-old Deontay Sims. As CTV reported yesterday, the incident happened in the 12400 block of Cicely Court around 2 a.m. When police arrived at the scene, they found 39-year-old Dina Taylor suffering from gunshot wounds. She was later pronounced dead. The suspect barricaded himself in his house for hours. He also fired shots at police. Sims is charged with first and second-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder of 2 officers. You're watching CTV News. I'm Keisha Butts. We'll be back in just one moment.
Routines like staying active or talking to friends can help keep you centered. For more tips, visit coping-19.org.
Welcome back. The United States is quickly approaching a grim milestone. The number of reported COVID deaths nationwide will surpass the death toll of the 1918 flu pandemic. That's the prediction of Tom Frieden, a former CDC director. There have been 668,000 COVID deaths so far. 675,000 died in connection with the 1918 pandemic. Health officials say the COVID deaths could surpass that number as early as next week. Meantime, here are the COVID-19 numbers for our area. The state health department has confirmed 1,525 new cases. 171 of those are in Prince George's. The county's positivity rate is at 5.33%. 12 people have died of COVID since yesterday. 792 remain hospitalized. When it comes to the COVID vaccine, many people want to know what's fact and what's fiction. As CTV's Katara Jones reports, the Maryland Health Department is providing answers.
State health leaders are using social media platforms like Twitter to counter inaccurate information about the COVID-19 vaccine.
We find misinformation or disinformation out in social media, we want to confront that.
This week, the state health department has been using its Twitter page called GoVax Maryland to tweet out facts about the vaccine. One of the first tweets says the COVID vaccine does not affect fertility.
We've done a lot of surveys. We know what people's concerns are, and that was the first one. But there will be others, things like the origin and makeup of the vaccine and some of the other issues that are out there.
Through the social media campaign, medical professionals will go live on Twitter with an Ask an Expert Q&A to address concerns about the vaccine. Because there is so much misinformation about vaccines, Secretary Dennis Strader says Marylanders should always check the source of online reports.
If you're looking at a website, you ought to ask yourself, who is this organization? Are they in the medical field? Do they know what they're talking about? And so that requires a little bit of homework.
Schrader says the state still has about 970,000 Marylanders who are still eligible to get vaccinated. For more information, visit covidlink.maryland.gov. Katara Jones, CTV News.
Again, for more information on the vaccine, visit covidlink.maryland.gov. Maryland Comptroller Peter Francho says no family should be evicted while the state is holding on to hundreds of millions of dollars in federal relief funding. Francho has voiced his concern in the past about the state's sluggish rent relief disbursements. With the eviction moratorium expected to be lifted in October, he's concerned a tidal wave of renters and whole families will be thrown out on the street. All the while, federal funds are sitting in the state's coffers.
We're facing a tsunami of court actions where literally tens of thousands of families with young children are facing eviction through no fault of their own. And it's easily avoidable because the federal government has put so much money into the state for rent relief. The difficulty is that we haven't properly communicated with the landlords that the money goes to them for back rent. This is good for landlords. They get paid, but they have to agree not to evict the tenants.
Is this money sitting in a state coffer? Is it in local jurisdictions? And what is the reason it's not going where it needs to go?
The problem is nobody answers the phone at the Department of Housing, so you can't get a clear information, either landlords or tenants. What we need are all the top authorities, the governor, the court system, the county executives, and most importantly, the landlords, to get together and say, look, it's better for the state if we don't have tens of thousands of families with young children tossed out on the street.
Francho says Prince George's has done well in dispersing rent relief funds allotted from the state, but he says more needs to be done. He's calling for a summit with high-level officials from across the state to deal with the issue. Local boards of elections score a victory as the state agrees during a Board of Public Works meeting to split the cost of replacing some election equipment. The Maryland Association of Counties challenged a decision by the State Board of Elections that would have made local governments foot the entire bill. The state board is replacing the system local boards use to verify and check in voters. The effort includes upgrades to thermal printers and electronic poll books. And still ahead on CTV News tonight, a visit to the Banneker Douglas Museum in Annapolis. We check out a new exhibit called Freedom Bound Runaways of the Chesapeake. Stay with us.
Every 2 minutes, a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer. With your help, we can end breast cancer. We are all stronger together.
Laurel police are investigating a home invasion, robbery, and abduction. It happened Wednesday at the 8200 block of Londonderry Court. According to police, 3 armed suspects entered a home and stole several items. 2 of the suspects then took a victim to several ATMs and forced him to withdraw cash. One of the suspects shown here was seen on surveillance video. The 3rd suspect stayed with the victims in the home during the ATM robberies. 2 vehicles were also stolen during the crime. The victims were not injured. Anyone with information about this incident is asked to contact police at 301-498-0092. Meantime, Prince George's police are investigating a fatal crash in the Brandywine area. It occurred near the intersection of Floral Park Road and Aria Drive around 1:20 this morning. Police say a motorist was traveling northbound on Floral Park Road when his vehicle left the roadway and struck a tree. The victim was pronounced dead on the scene. After being closed for more than a year, the Banneker Douglas Museum is finally welcoming visitors. To celebrate, it's hosting a block party tomorrow featuring live music, Black-owned vendors, and much, much more. There's also a new exhibit for everyone to enjoy called Freedom Bound: Runaways of the Chesapeake. It tells 9 stories of people who escaped enslavement in the Chesapeake region from 1728 to 1864.
What I want them to take away is to really be inspired to learn more about Maryland history, to be inspired by African American heritage and storytelling, but also think about ways that they can be agents of change in their own communities. Really critically think about, what does freedom mean to you now? You know, how can we instill liberation and freedom in the communities in which we live in?
The museum is also partnering with Alex Haley's family by offering a genealogy and African American workshop starting at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Again, the block party starts at 1 p.m. Well, let's get a quick check on our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low around 67. Saturday, partly sunny with a high near 85. Sunday, sunny with a high near 83. Monday, mostly sunny with a daytime high near 80 and an evening low around 63. And now for the community calendar, carry your flower of hope during the 2021 Walk to End Alzheimer's. Participants can join at a local event or walk from home. Register online or in person at the location of the event. Safety protocols will be implemented, such as wearing masks, contactless registration, hand sanitizing stations, and more. There will be 2 events taking place. The first, September 25th at the National Harbor. The second event will be October 9th at the National Mall. For registration and more information, visit act.alz.org and search for the walk near you. And that wraps up our CTV News Update. Join us again on Monday. Have a good weekend.